Well, Danny Medvedev didn't pack it out last night. However, his next opponent, who guarantees some excitement at this year's Australian Open, did a very good job. Take a look at this. This is where they are allowed to get on with only a grounds pass, and of course, it was Nick Kyrgios. Last year, I only really remember one match, now that I think of it, from the Australian Open. Do it yourself. Think about it. Last year's Australian Open, what match do you remember? Dominic Thiem and Nick Kyrgios. That's the one match that jumps out in my mind immediately. It was wildly entertaining. It was wild from start to finish. And you may remember we read an article at the time saying basically that the fans were, since it was a court, it was this court, I guess, because it was a big court, but they would let people come in with only a grounds pass. That is the lowest form of the tennis ticket. It's a lot cheaper to get in. And the journalist who wrote this article last year was basically saying that the Kyrios fans are the worst people in the world, that they're mostly young men who are drunk and rowdy and obnoxious. Well, they were that again, and it was the most entertaining part of the tournament so far. So let me just take you through quickly why it was so good. So early in the match, Kyrgios breaks right away. Brody is not ready. I mean, I think in the first point of the match, someone was like, just go home, Brody. Go home. You got no chance. I think later I heard someone say, give him a bagel, Nick. Give him a tasty bagel. Something like that, right? Really rowdy. We had some great footage. Go watch the video from last year with Dominic Thiem and Kyrgios' match. There was some great footage of some fans like sloshing their beer around and going nuts. Anyway, so after breaking right away, you see this Kyrios brings a 200, and don't be fooled, that was the previous serve, 209. 220 kilometers per hour serve at the body. See the ball? It's going right at Brody. There's the confirmation on the speed. Brody couldn't even touch it. He just tried to not get nailed by it. And then he looked at his coach and smiled like this. And then while the camera is overhead and the commentators are talking about how crazy that 220 kilometer per hour body serve was, look below. Kyrios is hitting a between the legs underhand sneak attack serve. It beat the cameraman. It surprised everyone in the arena. It surprised me. It surprised the commentators. And take a look. There it is flying. Then Kyrios watches it to see how good it does. He wins the point, of course. It was amazing. And here's the confirmation. He dropped it, but it was, this is a trick serve. We've gone from underhand serve to trick serve. Mikhail Pernfors is really good at these trick serves. Anyways, it was a Pernfors style trick serve here. Drop it between the legs and hit it. Unbelievable. And then Kyrios, of course, does the, are you not entertained, mate? Are you not entertained? And look at these people. I mean, they're going nuts. This is what it's all about. Now, at times, and early on in the match, Brody hit a winner, and Kyrios said, too good, mate, too good. Great shot, mate, great shot. He was really complimentary to his opponent. The crowd was pretty obnoxious to him, but look at the guy. I mean, after a while, they were saying, you underhand serve, no, you underhand serve him back, Liam. And I think this was about the time where he started laughing. Kyrios is laughing. At one point in the match, Kyrios, Brody missed his first serve. Kyrios noticed something like a piece of paper floating behind him or something, says, oh, stop, sorry. And then before the umpire can say, let first serve, Kyrios says, second serve, right? And I think this is what this picture's from. He starts laughing. Anyways, pretty good sportsmanship from Nick Kyrgios, despite all that talk of how obnoxious people are and how obnoxious Nick Kyrgios can be. And I think Brody, even though the crowd was very anti-Brody, I think this is probably going to be, looking back on his career in the future, one of his favorite matches, something that he's actually going to remember from his career. He seemed to take it pretty well, and it was wildly entertaining stuff. Meanwhile, let's move on to another late-night match. Tsitsipas, late night here. It was like 3 a.m. matches, Tsitsipas had a match with Michael Emer, who at one point where he was hanging with Tsitsipas and playing pretty well, it kind of felt like that Rafa match where, Marcus Giron just didn't have the firepower to consistently hurt Rafa. Emer, really fought hard. It was an entertaining match. but he never really could do enough to threaten Tsitsipas in a serious way. And just to remind you what a mental sport this is, right? I think it was Djokovic who said, in the top 100, everyone has great serves, forehands, backhands. It's all mental when it comes to winning Grand Slams. And we've seen a lot of self-violence in this sport. I've done some to myself, going crazy on the tennis court before. I think one time I punched a scoreboard so hard that it cut my hand open and started bleeding. That was embarrassing. So Michael Emer started punching himself in the face maybe 6, 7, 8, 9 times with the towel on his head. And, you got to feel for the guy. He gave it everything he had. He just needs to work on developing the offensive weapons a little bit more in the game. Ultimately, Tsitsipas wins and writes this. I got to show you this one because it was kind of weird. Rip it. Let's get this bread. Stefanos Tsitsipas. All right. Get the bread, Steph. I was a little skeptical of Steph's chances going into the tournament. However, he had the elbow procedure done a la Novak Djokovic style. And he's banging big serves consistently enough now to feel like it's probably okay. He looks pretty good. He's going to have a shot at it. A lot of guys are going to have a shot at it without Djokovic in the draw. Also, let's move on to Medvedev because he is now our number 1 seed, basically. He's our top seed because Djokovic is out. He's number 2. One of the worst things about having Djokovic out of the tournament is the guy won almost all 4 majors last year. There's a lot of excitement seeing defending champions, which on the women's side, they're dropping like flies, previous major champions. But on the men's side, those previous major champions tend to be only from the big 3, and it's exciting to see them and see who can challenge them. Well, this year, we've only got one person who won a major last year on the men's draw, and of course, that's Medvedev. Now, he was playing this Swiss fellow, Laaksonen, and you might have been like me watching and thinking, what's odd about this guy's strokes? Something looks odd. And of course, that is, and I apologize, I want to do today's show on camera, but we got to rush it. I'm teaching today and tomorrow because the weather is just dreadfully cold, and there's been some snow here. So these 2 days are sunny and warmer. These will be the 2 main days I'm getting out there and teaching tennis lessons. So later in the week, I'll probably have more time for the videos. Anyways, take a look at Laaksonen here. You can't even see the racket, right? What I noticed is that his backswing, he doesn't really take the racket very high, which goes to show you because Laaksonen was crushing some forehands. Goes to show you all the power's from the hips. I know taking it back higher and dropping it gives you a little extra acceleration on the racket drop, which definitely helps you produce more racket head speed, sure. But the main thing is the hips, and when you throw the hips in as recklessly, I wish I could show you the clip. I'd probably get in trouble with the Australian Open. But there was at one point, Laaksonen hit a forehand like 100 miles an hour and 5 feet wide to the right. And Medvedev was like throwing his hands up like, what are you doing? What is that? And he covered his face up like it was like an embarrassingly bad shot. I don't know exactly what his point was. Maybe he was just mad at his own game. Maybe he was mad he gave Laaksonen a chance to load up and crush it, although it didn't look like that. I guess he was he was disgusted by the horrible miss from Laaksonen. Anyways, Laaksonen, especially on the slice backhand, normally you see people take it up and put it behind their head like a little tennis racket pillow with the strings. And even on the slice, that's where I noticed it the most. Laaksonen doesn't take it up very high. Still able to generate some massive power from the hips. Ultimately, though, not enough game for Danny Medvedev, our top seeds. Take a look at your statistics. Not the cleanest match for Medvedev, but Medvedev does what he does best. Winning most of the points, winning in less than 2 hours, even though he had to go to a tiebreak in the third. And 21 winners on 23 unforced errors. Yeah, it's 2 winners short of Laaksonen, but Laaksonen had exactly double the unforced errors of Medvedev at 46 and couldn't break except for once out of his 5 chances. Medvedev pretty good at breaking. Medvedev, you'll notice 10 out of 20 at the net. Came to net a decent bit, especially early on. 50% success rate is not great at the net, but interesting to see Medvedev trying some stuff that might come in handy later in the tournament. A lot of it, he didn't execute well enough to get past, say, Sasha Zverev, who he might be playing late in the tournament. Anyways, we've got a great match coming up because Kyrios, I didn't know what to expect from him, but when I woke up today and I had all these matches that I missed that were late at night to rewatch, that was the one I was most excited about. That was the one I had to see right away. And I was happy to see Kyrios played extremely well, as you saw from my slideshow at the beginning of today's show, highlighting the nonstop entertainment. But also, I mean, there was some backhand returns. He just blasted up the line for clean winners. Liam Brody didn't really have the firepower to hurt Nick either, like we've been talking about a lot of these first-round matches. But Nick Kyrgios has come to play, and the way Medvedev returns serve so far back. Did you know, let me check this, but I have heard, Google, Kyrgios, Medvedev, head-to-head. I heard Kyrgios' head-to-head record is 2-0 against Medvedev. I remember, yes, it is indeed 2-0, and I do remember one of those matches. All right, so 2019, he beat him in Rome, and 2019 is not a bad year for Medvedev. He did almost beat Rafa in 5 sets, almost, in the finals of the U.S. Open that year. Don't forget. Also, 2019, that has to be when he beat Djokovic in Cincinnati after hitting 2 first serves. Well, Kyrgios took him down 7-6, 7-6 straight sets in the final of Washington. You probably remember this one. This was the run where Kyrgios was asking people, where should I serve on match point, and then hitting aces in the direction that people in the crowd that he would run over to and like put his hand over his ear like he's going to listen to him whisper a secret. Let me take a sip of coffee. Oh, yeah. That was wildly entertaining stuff, and a lot of people thought Kyrgios was going to go on to do some big things after that. And, of course, I don't think he's won a title since 2019 Washington. Anyways, Kyrgios looks like he's back and intends to play well. Of course, I'm going to predict Medvedev wins, but we've got a blockbuster match coming up, and boy, do we need it at this year's Australian Open after the travesty that was put upon us by the Australian government. Welcome to the Coffee Break Tennis Podcast. I got one more picture for you today, and then a couple comments, and then we're going to go through the draw and get out of here. It's going to be a pretty quick show. I did an hour almost, like 58-minute video yesterday anyways, so a lot of people will still need to see that one. It's mostly talking about Djokovic, but I think it's important stuff, good stuff. Let's look at this, though. These are two, and I know Andy Murray, that is actually the match I saw the least of. I saw a decent bit of it. Against Basilashvili, we know Andy Murray said some stuff to the media last year saying Basilashvili shouldn't be allowed to play because of the abuse, assault allegations against him in his home country, former country of Comrade Stalin. Georgia, not the one I live in the United States. Anyways, so there's some bad blood, you could say. Basilashvili probably not too fond of Andy Murray after that. And Basilashvili was able to bring it to Andy Murray, and Andy Murray, man, he slugged it out. Do you think after the 5-set epic, just like we're looking at this one from Felix Auger-Aliassime and my good friend Emil Rutsavori, who looks like that sweet little Swedish girl, Greta Thunberg, in the face, not in the forehand. Murray, what's he going to be able to do after this? I don't know. That's my big question there. Like I said, I saw less of that match than any of the others that I watched from second day of Australian Open action. But we know Murray can hang in long matches, even with the new hip that he's got, the robo hip. I'm going to be curious to see. With Djokovic out, I know we still have some big names in this tournament, but obviously you almost feel like this is a tournament where we're going to get a surprise winner. No one would pick Nadal to beat Djokovic at the Australian Open, especially now. And I give him a shot now. I give him a real shot. And, of course, Medvedev is going to be, one of your top favorites now. Could somebody like an Andy Murray, I wonder this, that's why maybe I'm not as excited to watch Andy Murray play. It's a great story. He had a great crowd, right? That was nice to see. Murray really had a bigger crowd than we've seen yet in one of the bigger stadiums. Will he be able to be a serious threat here? Comment below your thoughts on that. I don't know. I think about Janko Tipsarevic, Serbian tennis player, who predicted that Murray was going to come back and win another slam. If he were to do it, I would say only at Wimbledon is it possible. But who knows? The court's playing pretty fast. Murray is good on a fast surface. We saw Murray take down Sasha Zverev. When was that? Recently on a faster court in the U.S. It's all possible. It's interesting. I'm going to keep my eye on it, but I have a hard time believing that Murray's going to be able to recover quickly. Speaking of recoveries, Casper Ruud rolled his ankle. He is out, so we will not be hearing this song other than right now. For this tournament, maybe at the French Open, we'll get to go Casper Ruud all day.
Tennis for me and you, yeah. Casper Ruud Casper Ruud He likes to hit the backhand. He likes to hit the serve.
Let's move on to Felix Auger all day. And Emil. I told you about this guy, Emil. He caught my eye when he was playing Jannik Sinner. I was scouting the match before he faced Jannik Sinner in Miami. And I thought this guy's got a lot of game, Emil. He can, look at the aces, 3-8, one double fault. Emil could work on that first serve. That's something he could develop into more of a weapon. Off the ground, really bringing it, especially in that second set, 6-0. Felix had some issues with his serve. Now, why I'm encouraged is because Felix, who can get very choky in big moments, he served this match out at 5-4 and was able to hang on. In fact, the commentators said that this was possibly the best service game he had in the entire match when he served at 5-4 to win at 6-4 in the fifth set, just before 4 hours of match play. So, that's a big step in the right direction. Maybe he feels like maybe he wasn't as worried because he was playing Emil Ruud, but usually when you're playing someone younger or less experienced, if anything, you'd feel a little bit more nerves. So I was impressed by that. Felix had a really hard time getting his first serve in those first couple of sets. He could have lost this match because that first set, it looked like Emil was going to win it. Felix was winning ugly this whole match. Well, he was really winning ugly in that first set. And obviously he goes down 6-0, 6-3 in the second and third. So if he hadn't found a way to win that first, he might not have even seen a fourth set. But he does win it, and he wins the fourth and the fifth. And now he lives to fight another day. Obviously didn't convert break points as well as Emil, our friend Emil. And won less points in total. That's mostly because of the 6-0. Anyways, we'll keep our eye on Felix Auger all day. Obviously, they won the ATP Cup, him and Shapo. And let's move on to the draw. Oh, wait, let's do these comments, and then we'll get out of here. Juris says, why didn't he tell Le Quip journalist that he is positive? Because he was not positive. I saw this in my dream, of course. I'm going to say this one more time. In Serbia, if you fake a COVID test for Novak, you probably get the Serbian Medal of Honor. If he gets to play, right? If the end result is Novak gets to play the Australian Open and wins it. Didn't get to play, so Medal of Honor off the table. Viva Hernando says, duh, it's so obvious. And would you say Djokovic wouldn't use his status in Serbia to get a fake vaccination confirmation? I think Djokovic will go down as the best player ever, but I've always thought he was super fake. Again, I think he should be playing. Omicron has kind of changed my perspective. A healthy person like Djoko isn't going to go to the hospital over COVID, and he ain't going to send no one to the hospital over COVID, especially Mr. Lequip. Anyways, one more comment. And as far as Viva Hernando there saying, agreeing basically, but saying Djokovic is super fake. That's kind of like when Kyrios had the podcast with Ben Rothenberglers and basically said, like, he's so cringe, man. He's just so cringe. He just wants everyone to love him like Roger and Rafa. But ironically, Nick Kyrgios turned into a big Djokovic supporter after all this. And at one point, Nick said, mate, I want him to win the whole thing. I just want to be wearing my Adamo t-shirt. And he's a big Djokovic fan now. So fascinating stuff. Anyways, Expondymus says, and I'm not reading this because of the compliments, because we're very, very humble here, like Roger Federer on this show. But I want to point out something very important, a life lesson for all. What a breath of the fresh air. You summed up everything perfectly. Why, thank you. I just remembered when I met Djokovic, Djokovic's dad. What's such a frustration for me is the cowardice I've seen just about everybody else's statements. I don't get into politics. Give me a break. In this instance, there can be no separation between politics and tennis. People need to deal with it, take a stand, or else the next time they are railroaded, nobody will say a word. Remember this. Everything is politics, and politics is everything. Politics will come for you. If you try to avoid it and you say, I don't get into politics, it's going to come for you eventually. I'm sure a lot of people right before the Russian Revolution said, I don't get too involved. I don't get too involved with the politics. And then Comrade Stalin took care of most of those people. Anyways, Viva Hernando had another great comment after a comment, a reply to a comment. I don't have it here to expondimus, but I remember the gist of it is he said, like, come on, Djokovic, let's not turn Djokovic into Nelson Mandela. And I just want to point out that I was originally, when I saw Djokovic won his first appeal, but then I realized how likely he was going to get railroaded by the executive branch of the Australian government, I was going to make a thumbnail that had Britney Spears, Nelson Mandela, and Djokovic. And you see where I was going with that. Anyways, it was going to be hilarious, but then I realized that Djokovic isn't really free like Britney Spears and Nelson Mandela, because they're probably going to get him anyways in the end, so I didn't go that route. But it was going to be really funny. I was even going to make a little song, like, the Nelson Mandiba, the Mandiba song. So why go through all that work when Djokovic is going to get taken out? Anyways, all right, enough of that. Last thing on Djokovic is his dad. I met him when Djokovic won against Nadal, third set tiebreaker final. I've told the story before, but I'll tell it again because it's great. I had accidentally went into the women's bathroom at the Miami Tennis Center in Key Biscayne. Djokovic's mother was in there, so I almost ran into her. Luckily, she must have been in a stall or something. I remember thinking it was odd that they didn't have any urinals, and then when I walked out of the stall, after urinating standing up, I will point out, I saw women in the bathroom who were kind of giggling and looking at me like, what is he doing? And I walked out very embarrassed. Then I saw Novak's dad, who must have been thinking about how great his family is and didn't notice that I'd just come out of the women's bathroom. He didn't say anything to me, but I walked up to him. I said, "You're Djokovic's dad, aren't you?" And he went, "Yes." And then I said to him, "Wow, Djokovic just won." This is right after the tournament finish. People are getting out of there, using the bathroom and stuff. I think they were setting up for the trophy ceremony. Might have been after the trophy ceremony. Guess it would have been, because the parents would have stayed in the stands for that probably. I said, you, Djokovic is really having a great year. I mean, gosh, he might win everything, huh? And he went, "Yes." And I said, you must be so proud of your son. "Yes." And then I don't remember what else I said, but I think he might have done one more. "Yes." So I shook his hand, said, "Your son's great, blah, blah, blah." And all he did was just nod and smile and go, "Yes, yes, yes." That was when I met Srijan Djokovic. Anyways, that's my story. I'm sticking to it. All right, let's turn on this wacky thing. We're going to try it like this is a new way to do. Instead of looking at my chicken scratch marked up draw by hand, where everyone makes fun of in the comment section below my terrible handwriting, let's just do this. And let's do this record the screen business on the draw. Let's start with the bottom, because we got Medvedev and Kyrios coming up, and I'm very excited about this. I ultimately think Medvedev's going to win, but it's going to be interesting to watch. He's never beat Kyrios before. Kyrios really has nothing to lose. The crowd is going to go nuts. Brody was a good sport about it. How do you think Medvedev's going to react when the crowd is saying, "Go on, Nick, kill him," stuff like that? Medvedev might flick the crowd off again. So you got to tune in. This is going to be the most memorable match of the whole tournament, possibly. So Medvedev wins in 4 sets, let's say. But who knows? He doesn't have a great 5-set record. What if Kyrios could get him to go 5? We know Kyrios tends to win in 5, especially at home when the crowd is going nuts for him. Kyrios, who seems like he doesn't care about the sport or his career most of the time, really cares about performing and giving a show to the crowd. The best of 3 sets match ever is the 3 tiebreaks in Miami 2017, Federer and Kyrios. When I watch Kyrios and look at the stuff he's able to do with his hands, I think this guy has Pete Sampras's first serve, basically. He's got the best second serve on tour when he applies himself. One of them. And the talent level, the only thing I can think of is like Roger Federer. Nick Kyrgios. More raw talent than Rafa Nadal? You can make the case. Total opposites when it comes to the mental toughness and applying themselves. Anyway, so tune in for that. The winner will get Van der Zandschulp, who Medvedev beat the U.S. Open last year, or Gasquet. Surprising to see Gasquet come through Hugo Humbert, but good on him. Medvedev doesn't have to have that rematch. Above that, Schwartzman, I didn't see this match. I saw a little bit of the match because it was the first one on, so I watched a little bit. And Schwartzman, I heard, was limping after his match. So that's interesting. O'Connell, I believe that's who I saw in person. I was in like the second, third row, saw him beat Jannik Sinner in Atlanta last summer in July. Maybe I'm misremembering, but whoever it was an Aussie who served really, really well, and Sinner didn't have a great serving day, and that was ultimately the difference. Also, it looked like Sinner was just not ready for that heat and humidity that we have here in Atlanta. It is horrible. Anyway, so I like Maximus Cressius' chances to come through this section here and get another tricky match for Medvedev. How's he going to handle a guy who serves really big and serves and volleys on first and second serve most of the time? It worked against John Isner. John Isner a little low on confidence after the way his year went last year. But he did win in Atlanta, however. I saw that match. It was cool. However, Maximus Cressius played a great match to take out John Isner. Was able to break serve. A lot of tie breaks, obviously. I like Cressi's chances to get through, and I even like him to really challenge Medvedev. So this is going to be interesting since Medvedev is kind of most people's favorite. I would favorite him, but he's going to have his hands full between Kyrios and Cressy. I think there's a good chance we see Cressy. Medvedev would probably enjoy playing Shorty D and wouldn't worry about that. All right, so above that, we've got Felix now plays Davidovich Fokina. Hard to say with Felix, really is. I'll give Felix the pass here and say he finds a way through. Dirty Dan Evans is enjoying the surface. The surface has been described as slippery, taking the slice well, taking the slice serve well. Rinder Kanesh is going to be tough. He's another guy I noticed last year, taking out Popper in Australia. That's a good win, especially on the surface. Rinder Kanesh, I remember seeing him beat Sinner last year on clay somewhere, and some other matches, obviously. I think the way I described him is kind of reminds me of Jeremy Shardy, big power guy, Rinder Kaneshi. And we'll see what Dan Evans can do, but I like Dan Evans on this surface, and just the guy's been on fire lately. Threw a bagel on David Goffin. I don't know if David Goffin's fully healthy, though. Above that, we've got Rublev, Norbert Gombush, and Marin Cilic. Cilic had a nice start against a qualifier. Gombush comes through in 4. Berankis comes through in 5. Rublev's match, he was getting mad at himself despite winning 6-3, 6-2, 6-2. That's my big takeaway from that match, is seeing how angry he gets when he misses the ball, but obviously played pretty well. And Berankis could be tough on this surface, actually, but I'll take Rublev to come through here. Marin Cilic could be tough for Rublev. That's a little danger there. Who comes through this section? Do comment below. Rublev, Felix, Cilic, or Dirty Dan. It's going to be one of them, I would say. And they will get Medvedev in the 4th round. All right, moving on. Tsitsipas looked pretty good. He's got a pretty good draw here. Dimitrov, Benoit pair. Tsitsipas, if he stays healthy, which it looks like he will, he'll be able to come through there. His 4th round could potentially be, did I get that right earlier? Was that a potential 4th round? Never mind. That is a potential quarterfinal below for Medvedev, what we were talking about. Who could come through there? Could it be Rublev? Could it be Dirty Dan? We'll see. Tsitsipas, 4th round could be Roberto Bautista Agut, who Robbie Koenig commentating on the Kyrios match, or on the Medvedev match, was saying who could challenge Medvedev, and he thinks Roberto Bautista Agut is a good one. I think he might also have a winning record over Meds. He could come through here, and we know Tsitsipas, his first run where he took out Federer in 2019, he went down almost. He went down to Rafa in the end, but he almost went down to Roberto Bautista Agut, who gave him a really tough match, but he was able to come through there. Nice win for Philip Kohlschreiber, who's got to be close to 40 years old now. Roberto Bautista Agut, I like his chances coming through. I think he's enjoying the surface, even though he did drop a set against Trevelyan. Jannik Sinner, I got to watch most of his match. Looked pretty good to me. Kind of like the Rafa match, looking really good, then throwing in some errors and giving the opponent, lucky loser at Yao, Sousapalooza, a chance there. But Sinner looking very good. I think he's going to make a good run here. Stevie Johnson, he'll be able to come through. And Andy Murray, here we go. Do you think Andy Murray beats Taro Daniel? Well, he should. That's very winnable. But will he beat Jannik Sinner? I don't think so. I think Sinner comes through here and Murray finishes in the 3rd round. Alex de Minaur threw down a bagel on Musetti after dropping the first set. I didn't see any of this match, but I can kind of imagine how it went after watching de Minaur at ATP Cup a little bit and just knowing how he likes to play in Australia. Good for him. Looks like he's going to have a shot to make a run here. We may be seeing a 4th round. Is that right? Yeah, 4th round. Quarterfinal could be Tsitsipas waiting, but the 4th round could be the Demon versus Jannik Sinner, which is an interesting matchup because of the names, Demon and Sinner. You do the math. I'll take Sinner over the Demon. I've been big on Sinner for a while now, but Demon could be tough. And then you could get Jannik Sinner quarterfinal with Steph Tsitsipas. That's what I'm hoping to see. Comment below. I'm not going to even try to pick that one yet. Rafa looks good. Obviously, he was spraying a little bit in that second set, but that doesn't mean much. Rafa's getting on a roll. He knows this is going to be maybe one of his last chances, maybe the last to win the Australian Open. Karen Khachanov up next, dropped a set to Denis Kudla. Kudla tends to do well on faster surfaces, so that's not too much of a shock there. So it's a good win to come through Khachanov. Rafa, though, I don't think Khachanov is much of a threat. Hubi Hurkacz or Karatsev. Those will be the guys that Rafa might have to worry about. One of them. Could Hurkacz take Rafa out here? We'll be keeping a close eye on Hurkacz and Karatsev. And how does Karatsev come back against Mackie McDonald? I'm sure Mackie McDonald's enjoying this fast court as well. He can be pretty offensive. So we'll keep our eye over there and see if there's any dangers for Rafa. But I don't think there's any coming up soon. Hanfmann had a good first match, but you think he's going to take out the king of clay, Rafa Nadal, a guy who'd never won a main draw match before this? I don't think so. Shapo. Will he survive another round? Who knows? Tough to pick. Let's say, though, we get Shapo and Riley Opelka. I think Riley Opelka will come through, even though he disappoints me most of the time when I pick him to do well anywhere. Shapo and Opelka, that's a tough one to go with. Shapo, so much fun to watch, but so inconsistent. We'll be keeping our eye there. I expect Shapo to come through Kwan, but who knows with Shapo. Fourth round would be Sasha Zverev for Opelka or Shapo. Those are my guys to get there. Zverev looked good, but when he was forced to play some long rallies, sometimes he got shaky. Could Millman do that? We'll see. Could Millman make him drag things out and give him some trouble? Maybe he drops a set, but I think Zverev comes through Millman, and I think Zverev comes through Shapo or Opelka. Although I'll put a slight caveat on that one. If Opelka could really get in a groove against Zverev, and, Shapo too, we've seen Shapo have some great matches recently. If one of those guys could play lights out and Zverev gets shaky, you could see, when this could be bad for Zverev, so many people are making him the favorite. You could see him go down in the fourth round, potentially. Okay, what else do we got here? Baratini dropped a set to Nakashima. I saw a lot of that match. It's kind of funny watching him at first. It was almost like confusing. Nakashima and Baratini's games, they looked like a little bit similar. The way they were striking the forehand. Big guys. How tall is Nakashima? I want to look that up really quick. Brandon Nakashima height. He's only 6'1". He looked so big in that match. I guess he just was hitting big. A lot of upside for Nakashima. I saw him in the final. He lost here in Atlanta against John Isner. But overall, pretty impressive. He's pretty young. I think he's 20 years old still. So it'll be interesting to watch him, but I'm not putting too much on him this year to do anything too big. But we got a lot of young U.S. guys to be excited about. He's one of them for sure. Anyways, Baratini does come through, of course. I think he'll come through, and Duzilajevic could beat Alcaraz. Alcaraz looked really good, even though I'd never even heard of this qualifier, Tabilo, before from Chile. But Alcaraz looked good, and could Baratini go down to Alcaraz? You would say Baratini should win that match, but a little bit of opportunity here if Alcaraz can come through Duzilajevic. Don't know much about Stefan Kozlov, so the wild card there, but he got a win over Yuri Vesely. Man, remember when people used to say Yuri Vesely was a future talent of the sport? Seb Korda, obviously very impressive win over Cam Norrie. 6-0 in the second, dropped a bagel on Cam Norrie. Cam Norrie, one of the hottest players of last year, one of the winningest players of last year. So Sebastian Korda, I know I made fun of him a little bit last year, but this is the kind of win that will get my attention. So we'll be keeping a close eye on him. Greek Sport, or Pablo Correa Busta. We'll see. This is a good surface for Busta. Maybe Busta could come through here, but the American fans are surely hoping Seb Korda comes through. Let's move along. Christian Garin, Martinez is, I think, potentially could take out Christian Garin here. Upset alert on that one. Monfils, happy to see he made it through. Bublik should beat Monfils, but he probably won't. Tough call there. And, we're already at the top of the draw. Kecmanovic, thank God, took out Salvatore Caruso, the lucky loser that took Djokovic's spot. Good to see a Serbian take that guy out. He'll play a tough match. Tommy Paul up next. Oscar de Ada has a good serve, really good backhand. Lorenzo Sonego should be able to take Oscar the Otter out. There you go. Salvatore Caruso got all the benefit of having the number 1 seed. He took that spot. He goes down right away. Thank God for a Serbian player. Hit the music. We're getting out of here. Thanks for joining us today. We will be back tomorrow. We'll go through the draw again. We'll talk about all the latest matches, and we'll be getting even more excited for Nick Kyrgios and Danny Medvedev. See you.